A long, long time ago, in Alice High School, which was one of the most prestigious high schools in Tanko Town. Alice High School was an all-girls boarding school, and virtually every parent wanted their daughter to attend Alice High School. It was known for their good grades and impeccable character and demeanor. Every girl that attended Alice High came out with the best grades in Tanko Town and beyond. One could spot an Alice High student or girl anywhere and anytime because of their impeccable lifestyle and intelligence. As such, Alice High didn't accept just any girl. You must be extremely brilliant, and of course your parents must be wealthy, because Alice High school fees was triple what other schools pay. But inside the walls of Alice High, there were a lot of chilling experiences the girls have, and whenever any of them steps out of the school gates, they tend to forget about anything until they resume again. It was said that all the students of Alice High lived in constant fear and anxiety every night because of the baby's cry from the abandoned well close to their hostels. Every night at 2 a.m. to be precise, no one in Alice High would dare go out of their room, even to take a pee, because it was known that around that time, the cries of babies are being heard all over Alice High, mostly close to the hostel windows. It was said that the babies go from one window to another, crying for someone to come out and rescue them. This event almost every night brings chills to the students who are found awake. Because of this, everyone tried to finish whatever they were doing and go to bed on time. Even those that like to study at night tried to round up before 2 a.m. just so they could go to bed on time and not hear the cry of the babies by the window. This had continued like this for so many years in Alice High and made the student live in constant fear of nighttime and the abandoned well. One night, one of the senior girls, Amina, was very pressed. She woke up and checked her time. It was past 1 a.m. She was very pressed, but she couldn't find the courage to go out and pee. She decided to try and sleep back. She laid down for a while, but she couldn't sleep at all. It was like her bladder was about to explode. She lay there on her bed thinking on what to do. She even contemplated peeing on her bed, but what will everyone say about a senior peeing on the bed? She thought of using her buckets, but they were all filled up to the brim with water. She went round the hostel looking for an empty bucket, but she couldn't find one because there was scarcity of water and everyone had filled up their buckets when they had the chance, including her. She looked at the time again. It was 1:55 a.m. now. Could she rush out and rush back in 5 minutes? She thought to herself. By now, she could already feel her pee about to drip down, so she rushed to the door, unlocked it, and rushed to the toilet to pee. While she was still in the toilet, she began to hear the cry of the babies. They never missed the time. 2 a.m. on the dot. Amina was so scared. She didn't know if she should come out of the toilet or not, but she couldn't sleep in the toilet, of course, as she was already losing breath from the stuffiness. So she summoned courage and peeped out of the toilet, and it seemed that the coast was clear. It seemed that the babies had moved to another direction. So Amina ran as fast as her legs could carry her, and it felt like even the shadows were chasing her. She managed to get to her hostel and banged the door loudly behind her, that everyone woke up in fear. Amina's tale became a topic for the entire school for the whole week. As time went on in Alice High, one night after night prep and night devotions, all the students returned to their various hostels except Ego. Ego fell asleep in her classroom during night prep, and no one knew she was there. Light out is usually at 10 p.m., where the hostel gates were locked as everyone was expected to be in their hostel by that time. Ego was still sleeping soundly in the classroom when everyone had gone to bed. Even her roommates didn't notice her absence for some strange reason. It was past 12 p.m. when Ego finally woke up with a start. On realizing where she was, she had goosebumps all over her. She was immediately consumed with fear and she started crying. She couldn't even move. It was just like her feet was glued to the ground and everywhere was extremely dark. She managed to find her way out of the classroom and ran all the way to the hostel gates. They were locked already, as she knew. She began to knock frantically and crying profusely. "Please open up the gate, matron. It's me, Ego." Because everyone lived in fear of nighttime in Alice High. No one dared come out even if it wasn't 2 a.m. yet, including the matron. Everyone thought it was a new dimension to the night scare they always had with the babies. Even those that were still awake turned off their lights and went straight to bed, pretending to be asleep. Ego knocked and knocked, and after a while, she began to feel like there was something in the shadows around her. Every shadow had the shape of something coming to grab her, so she ran back to the classroom crying profusely. She closed all the windows and door and called herself to a corner, wrapping herself with her hands. She was so scared. She was literally shaking. At exactly 2 a.m., the baby started roaming about from the well area to the hostel windows and the gates, and then down to the classes. When they got to where Ego was, it was as if they sensed her presence, and they hovered around the class, crying and calling for rescue. Ego literally peed in her pants because she was so scared. She had never really heard the cry of the babies from her hostel because she was a deep sleeper. She only heard the stories. Now she was experiencing it firsthand. An intense breeze began to blow, rattling the doors and the windows, and the trees were swinging from side to side. It was just like a big force was around the corner. Every part of the class became extremely cold, and Ego had goosebumps all over her body. She began to pray and ask God to spare her life. The force from the breeze blew open the doors widely, and the babies walked in. Ego closed her eyes shut, muttering words. When they got close to her, she screamed so loud that it rang loudly in the stillness of the entire school. People woke up with a start. Everyone was scared, wondering what was going on. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Ego screamed and began pleading with the babies not to take her life. "Please don't kill me. I beg you. I'm so sorry for being here at this time. Please," she pleaded frantically. The babies started talking to her in sync. They told her of how they've been trapped in the well for years and need to rest. After they gave Ego the information, the heavy wind started again and they left. Ego fainted immediately. It was like she was having an out-of-body experience. The next morning, everyone woke up in fear of the events of last night. Everyone wanted to know what happened and who screamed so loud last night. When Ego's classmate got to her class that morning, the whole class was in disarray, and they saw Ego lying lifeless at the corner of the class. Everyone screamed and ran out. Some ran immediately to get help. After a few hours, Ego woke up. She opened her eyes slowly, thinking she was still in the classroom with the babies. But she found herself in the school clinic with her friends watching over her. Immediately she opened her eyes. They all jumped for joy and one ran out to call the nurse. The nurse came in and examined her and asked her what happened. Ego was too shocked that she couldn't even speak. She opened her mouth but the words couldn't come out. After some days, without Ego speaking and curled up in intense fear, especially at night, the school authority reached out to her parents and relayed the events of the past days to them, and she was taken to a bigger hospital for better care. After Ego left school for a few days, surprisingly, the babies didn't come out to cry. Everyone was extremely surprised. But after a few weeks, the cries resurfaced again. As time went on, Ego was taken to therapy until she was finally able to speak up on the events of that night. It all happened that many years ago, a student of Alice High got pregnant and still came back to school. She couldn't go home because her parents would kill her if they found out. So she tried so many tricks to take out the baby, but she didn't succeed. She stayed back in school and pretended that all was fine. She had very petite stature that made it impossible for anyone to detect that she was pregnant. As the pregnancy grew, she kept wearing bigger uniforms to cover up. She also had a really small stomach. On the day she was in labor, she waited in pains until it was darker. She ran off to the back of the hostel in pains when everyone was asleep at night. She tied up her mouth so she couldn't scream out loud. She pushed so hard and delivered the baby by herself. But it wasn't just one baby, they were twins. Immediately they were out, she strangled them immediately before they cried out into the chilly, quiet night. She strangled the two babies, cut the placenta, and packed them into a sack bag and threw everything into the abandoned well close to her. Ever since then, at exactly 2 a.m. when the twins were killed, they come out and roam the whole school looking for their mother. This has gone on for so many years in Alice High, and the babies finally revealed this to Ego. Everyone who heard this tale was in total shock and disbelief. The babies had asked that a special incense be burnt inside the well, and after that, the well should be sealed up. The school authority handled this, and after that, the well was covered up and sealed up for good. And from that day on, there was peace in Alice High. There were no more baby cries at 2 a.m. or any other time in Alice High. Ego didn't return to Alice High because she hadn't fully gotten over the events of that night. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this story brought about some chills and memories of the boarding house, some myths and facts for those of us that attended a boarding school. What are the popular myths told about boarding schools that you have heard of? Let us know in the comment section. Please like, share, and kindly subscribe to us if you haven't. Thank you and see you in my next one. Bye.